All right, ready to dive into something seriously awesome.
You bet. I'm pumped for this one.
We are tackling You Are a Badass
Ugh.
today by Jen Sincero,
Yeah, it's all about ditching those self-sabotaging beliefs.
which we all have, let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely. But the good news is this book helps us, really helps us understand them and overcome them.
Yeah, it's like finally breaking free from those invisible chains.
Yes. And Sincero's style,
Right.
so relatable and funny.
I know, right? She totally gets it. So this deep dive, it's about unlocking our full badass potential.
And living the lives we dream of, but might be, a little too scared to go after.
For sure. And one thing Sincero talks about that really resonated with me is that feeling of being stuck on autopilot.
Oh, yeah. She nails that. Like, life's kind of cruising along, and then
Bam! You have that one incredible day where you're unstoppable, you get it all done, you feel amazing.
exactly. And then
Right back to hitting snooze and questioning everything.
why is that so familiar?
Seriously. So why is that? Why do we get those glimpses of awesome and then poof, gone?
Well, Sincero digs into the whole conscious versus subconscious mind thing.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Imagine your subconscious mind like a blueprint.
The blueprint.
Yeah, it's been built from all those childhood experiences, all those messages we got about ourselves.
Interesting.
And get this, it's running the show even today.
Even when it clashes with what we consciously want.
Exactly. Like, that's why we might crave a donut when we know we should be having a kale smoothie.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Guilty as charged.
Right. It's that inner battle. And you know what Sincero says about that?
Tell me.
She says, we don't realize that we're being driven by our subconscious minds, not our conscious minds.
Whoa. So we're basically on autopilot, running old programming.
On the nutshell.
So how do we, reprogram the subconscious then? How do we take control and start living more intentionally?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Sincero introduces us to what she calls the big snooze.
The big snooze. Okay, I am all about a good villain. Tell me more.
Oh, it's a great analogy. Think of the big snooze, or BS for short, as all those limiting beliefs we carry around.
Okay. I'm getting it.
It wants to keep us safe, right? So it makes us afraid to step outside that comfort zone.
Oh, I know the big snooze all too well. Way too well.
Right. But here's the thing, Sincero says it so brilliantly. It's just as easy to believe we're awesome as it is to believe we're giant sucking things.
Okay, love that. It is just as easy to believe we're awesome. But if our subconscious is so convinced we're destined to fail, how do we even begin to shift that belief?
It all starts with recognizing the power of belief. What we believe, we become. We attract experiences that align with those beliefs.
So if we're constantly telling ourselves we're going to fail, we're setting ourselves up for a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. But the good news is it works both ways. If we can shift those beliefs towards something more empowering, that's when we start seeing positive change.
Okay, I am here for some positive change. Give me an example.
Well, Sincero talks about this woman named Shirley. She dreams of opening her own nail salon.
Okay, I love a good nail salon story.
Right. So Shirley, she finally takes the leap, quits her corporate job.
Wow, that's brave.
Right. But of course her friends and family, they're like, are you sure? It's so risky. All that jazz.
Oh, I can hear those conversations now. It takes serious courage to tune out those doubts.
It really does. But Sincero talks about how, sometimes when you're on the verge of a major breakthrough, that's when the big snooze really kicks in.
And tries to sabotage everything. Wait, did a truck drive through Shirley's front window? Because Sincero mentions that.
She does. It's classic big snooze sabotage. But here's the thing. Shirley pushed through those fears, took the leap anyway, and guess what?
Tell me.
She found success because she chose to believe in herself and her dream. And that's what set those positive changes in motion.
I love it. Shirley's a badass. Okay, so she believed in herself. Amazing. But how do we actually cultivate that self-belief, especially when our inner critic is so loud?
That's where self-love comes in, right? And this is where You Are a Badass gets really practical.
Okay, I am so ready for this. Hit me with some self-love strategies.
It's about baby steps, We don't have to go from zero to hero overnight. Sincero talks about this really cool concept.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Hit me with it.
Staying a beginner.
Just staying a beginner. I've never thought about it like that.
Right. It's like we're so conditioned to strive for mastery, to be experts.
Oh yeah, gotta be the best. Gotta know it all.
Exactly. But what if, and stay with me here, what if we embrace the idea of always being a beginner?
So like approaching life with a sense of curiosity. Always eager to learn something new.
Yes. And not being afraid to ask dumb questions.
Yeah.
Because there are no dumb questions.
Totally. It's like that beginner's mind, open, receptive, no judgment.
Exactly. And you know what? When we let go of needing to know everything, that's when the real magic happens.
I feel like this ties into the whole self-love thing too, right?
100%. When we're constantly judging ourselves for not being perfect.
Oh, that inner critic again.
Oh.
Always ready to remind us of our flaws.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be a work in progress, to embrace the journey.
And to actually enjoy the process of learning and growing.
Yes. And you know what else Sincero talks about that I think is so powerful?
Tell me.
Giving. Like the act of giving.
Okay, how does giving tie into this?
Well, she talks about how when we approach life with that beginner's mind, that openness to experience,
Yeah.
and also opens us up to giving more freely.
So not just taking it all in, but sharing our own unique gifts and talents with the world.
Exactly. And Sincero tells this heartwarming story about her brother trying to teach her nephew.
Oh, I love her family stories. They're hilarious.
Right. So her brother's trying to teach his son how to properly lift heavy things.
Important life lesson.
Right. Engage your core, use your legs, all that.
Safety first.
Exactly. But here's the funny part. Sincero's niece, who was just a little kid at the time.
Oh, no. What does she do?
She keeps interrupting their little lesson and just like effortlessly picking up the suitcase herself.
Ah, that's adorable.
Is
For the best.
right. And Sincero uses that story to illustrate how giving, like true giving,
Yeah.
it comes naturally to us. We're wired for it. It's only later as we get older that we start to overthink it.
We put all these conditions on giving, like it has to be a certain way or we have to get something in return.
Yeah. Yes. But when we give from a place of pure joy, of abundance,
Wow.
it's like the universe opens up in these incredible ways. We receive so much more than we ever imagined.
Okay, I am feeling this idea of giving freely. It's not about keeping score. It's about sharing our abundance with the world.
Yes. And you know what else Sincero talks about that goes hand in hand with giving?
What's that?
Gratitude.
Oh, gratitude. That's a big one.
Huge. Sincero calls it like the gateway drug to a more fulfilling life.
Okay, I need more information with this gratitude gateway.
It's simple, really. When we shift our focus from what we're lacking to what we're grateful for,
Yeah.
everything changes. Our energy shifts. We start attracting more good things into our lives.
It's like that saying where attention goes, energy flows.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, gratitude, it's a practice. Like we can actually cultivate it.
Okay, I am always down for a good practice. How do we do it?
Sincero talks about keeping a gratitude journal.
Ah, I've heard of this. Do you do that?
I try to. It's amazing how much it can shift your perspective. Just taking a few minutes each day to write down 10 things.
10 things you're grateful for.
Yeah. Big or small, it doesn't matter. Could be a hot cup of coffee, a sunny day, a good hair day.
Love that. Gratitude for good hair days. Yes.
Right. It's about training our minds to notice the good in every single moment.
Okay, I am sold. Gratitude journal, here I come. What else? What else?
Well, as we're talking about shifting our perspective and creating a more positive reality,
Yeah.
Sincero dives into the importance of forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Oh, man, that can be a tough one.
It can be, especially when we've been hurt or betrayed.
Right. Sometimes it feels easier to just hold on to the anger.
I get it, totally. But Sincero reminds us that forgiveness, it's not really about letting the other person off the hook.
Oh, I like where this is going. Tell me more.
It's about freeing ourselves from carrying around all that resentment and anger.
It's about our own well-being, not about the other person.
Exactly. Because when we hold on to anger, it's like we're drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Wow, that is a powerful image. Okay, so how do we actually forgive someone, especially when those wounds are still raw?
It's a process for sure. But Sincero suggests trying to cultivate compassion for the person who hurt us.
Even if they don't deserve it?
Especially then. Because often the people who hurt us the most, they're hurting too. Maybe they're acting out of their own pain.
It's like that saying, hurt people hurt people.
Right. So maybe try to see the situation from their perspective. Maybe they made a mistake. We all make mistakes, right?
Yeah, mistakes were made.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're all human. We all have our own baggage and struggles.
It's about choosing understanding over judgment.
Yes. And, you know, Sincero also reminds us that forgiveness, it's not about condoning the behavior. It's about reclaiming our power.
Okay, yes, I love that reframe.
We have the power to choose how we react. We don't have to be victims of our circumstances.
So it's about making a conscious choice to release the anger and resentment.
Yes. And to choose peace. for
It's
ourselves.
like we're breaking free from the past and stepping into a more empowered present.
Exactly. And speaking of forgiveness, we can't forget about forgiving ourselves.
Ooh, that inner critic is back, ready to remind us of all our past mistakes.
Right. We can be so hard on ourselves. Sincero reminds us to treat ourselves with the same kindness and compassion that we would offer to a loved one.
It's about giving ourselves that same grace and understanding.
Yes. And remembering that we're all works in progress.
Love that. Progress over perfection.
Always. And Sincero has this really cool metaphor about the people in our lives.
Ooh, lay it on me. I love a good metaphor.
She compares them to millions of mirrors.
Millions of mirrors. Okay, now I need to hear more about this.
So imagine, everywhere you look, there's a mirror reflecting something back to you.
Whoa, that's a lot of reflection.
Right, and the thing is, those reflections, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they show us parts of ourselves that we don't want to see.
Our shadow side, the stuff we'd rather keep hidden.
Exactly. But here's the thing, those reflections, they're opportunities for growth.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So, if I'm constantly annoyed by someone who's always late, maybe it's because I have my own issues with time management.
Exactly. Or if you're judging someone for being flaky, maybe it's because you're afraid of commitment.
Ooh, that one hit home.
It's like the people in our lives, especially those who trigger us the most, they're holding up these mirrors showing us what we need to work on within ourselves.
So it's not about blaming the other person, it's about taking responsibility for our own reactions.
And using those reactions as opportunities to learn and grow.
Love that. What a powerful way to approach those, shall we say, challenging people in our lives.
Right. It's like they're doing us a weird, twisted favor by helping us see ourselves more clearly.
Okay, so we've talked about forgiving others, forgiving ourselves. But what about those times when we're the ones standing in our own way?
Oh, self-sabotage.
Yes, the struggle is real.
Sincera's got our backs. She talks about this thing she calls noticing where you stop.
Noticing where you stop. Okay, break that down for me.
It's about paying attention to the patterns in our lives.
Patterns.
Yeah, like those moments when we're chasing a goal and then we hit a wall. We procrastinate, we get discouraged, we start doubting ourselves.
Oh, I know that wall all too well.
Yeah.
It's like I can see the finish line.
But then something holds you back.
Exactly.
So Sincero's advice, pay attention to where you stop. What's the pattern?
Because those patterns, they often reveal our deepest fears and insecurities.
Exactly. And once we know what they are, we can start to dismantle them.
Yeah. So if we notice, we always stop right before we're about to put ourselves out there.
Maybe it's because we're afraid of judgment or rejection. We're afraid to fail.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So once we've identified those patterns, then what?
Sincera's big on breaking things down into smaller steps.
Ah, so instead of getting overwhelmed by the enormity of a goal,
We chunk it down into bite-sized pieces.
love that. Makes it feel more manageable, less daunting.
Exactly. And, she also talks about the power of language. The words we use, they matter.
Or absolutely, our self-talk can either make us or break us.
Right. So instead of saying, I'm so stressed, try saying, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now, but I'm going to take a deep breath and figure this out.
Yes. It's about reframing those negative thoughts into something more empowering.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. Oh, the power of community. So important.
Right. Find your people, the ones who lift you up and support your dreams.
Your tribe, your cheerleaders, your fellow badasses.
Yes, because when we surround ourselves with people who believe in us...
It makes it that much easier to believe in ourselves.
Exactly. And speaking of believing in ourselves, Sincero says it's not enough to just believe in ourselves.
We have to take action, right?
Yes. We can't just visualize our dream life and expect it to magically appear.
Right. Got to put in the work.
Exactly. It's about making conscious choices every single day that align with those big, audacious goals.
So creating a plan, taking action, being consistent.
All of that. And being open to those unexpected opportunities that pop up along the way.
Oh, I love those. The universe works in mysterious ways.
It really does. So yeah, trust the process, even when things get a little messy. Because they will, that's for sure. Okay, so we've covered so much ground today. Self-love, gratitude, forgiveness, money mindset, taking action.
And through it all, this idea of embracing our inner badass.
Which is really about what? What does it really mean to be a badass?
For me, it's about living authentically, not being afraid to be ourselves, even when it's scary.
Owning our power, our worth, our unique gifts.
Yes. And not letting fear hold us back.
Because fear is a part of life, isn't it?
Absolutely. But Sincero reminds us that we don't have to let fear control us.
We have a choice. We can choose courage over comfort.
Yes. And sometimes the scariest thing we can do is to be truly ourselves.
To show up in the world without apology, without needing anyone's approval but our own.
Exactly. And that, my friend, is the definition of a badass.
Love it. So as we wrap up our deep dive into You Are a Badass, what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with today?
You are capable of extraordinary things. Don't ever forget that.
That's beautiful and so true. The power is within each and every one of us.
It is. And if you're ready to tap into that power, well, this book is a great place to start.
It definitely is. You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Check it out, folks. It might just change your life.
And until next time, remember, keep shining.
Keep being awesome.